Welcome back, Alpha Hunters. It is a very magnificent Market Monday, and hopefully you had a great weekend. All right, let's talk about what's going on to start off the week. Not really too much of a gap up or gap down, kind of just a flat open there, a little bit of a quick sell down, and then we had, about 15 minutes after the market opened, really a pretty strong rip there for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and yeah, there you go. We had a slight pullback here over the past hour or so, 45 minutes. Not really too much kind of going on there. A little bit of a bounce here. But is it time to panic as we look at the Qs? Oh my gosh. Qs are on a losing streak. Wow. Celebrate it. I mean, talking about rare air. My goodness. And that's just kind of where the Qs have been, right? Over the past, really even year and a half. Like, it's just hard to see them have multiple down days, but they did have a little bit of a gap down to start the day of the day. A little bit of sell down bounce. You can see that bounce that came in. Same thing on there on the SPY. But a lot more selling coming in here on the Qs, and we can talk about why here in just a second. IWM, nice gap up here on the IWM. Look at that. Nice. We'll talk a little bit more when we get to the daily picture. Looks pretty good. DIA also seeing a lot of flows in. Up, both of these are up a little bit over 1%. The RSP here up about 0.5%. A little bit of a gap down. Just got a lot of buying action coming in there on the day. Taking a look at the daily. Yep, RSP starting to look a little bit better. Starting to get kind of through the sideways choppy zone it's kind of been in here over the past couple of weeks. Looking pretty good. I'd imagine it's probably setting up for at least a little bit of a run here. So, yeah, I don't see why I wouldn't. The DIA, yep, looking pretty good. Continuing higher. Had that little indecision day there on Friday. A little continuation day. So, looking pretty good. Continuing from there. And the IWM. So we kind of talked about this towards the end of last week. It's just been hugging this downtrend, that's been going on for a few weeks now, almost a month. And yeah, outside of this 1 day gap up that we had back on June the 12th, but it sold down pretty much all the way down almost to this line, but the next day it kind of just continued, broke down. But we never really got that strong drop off like this drop, right? Like, we got the strong flush. We never really got that. It was just kind of hugging this downtrend. And so towards the end of last week, kind of just, we've been talking like, hey, once it breaks this downtrend and watch this thing to kind of pop and go for a run. This might be the beginning of that. Probably want to be bullish. Looks pretty good. The Qs, look at this. Celebrate it, I guess. But 3 days down in a row? Question mark? Possibly by the end of the day today? I mean, that's not to say panic or freak out time, but I mean, panic or freak out time? Possibly? Not the top. I ain't going to say that. Not even close. SPY pulling back to the 10 daily EMA on Friday, looking pretty good. Continuing to bounce there. Yeah, and that's the other thing. The Q's kind of hitting that 10 daily EMA today. So, yeah, there you go. That's kind of what's going on. And, one of the things that we kind of talked about, Wednesday, Thursday, I think it was Wednesday and maybe it was Wednesday or Thursday last week, was Friday. We were coming up to a rebalancing on, some of the major ETFs. One of those was the XLK. XLK was doing some rebalancing because it was hugely improperly weighted currently for our current time period, because a lot of these big funds, they don't rebalance. A lot of these ETFs, they don't rebalance daily like the indexes do, because the indexes aren't really tradable. Those are just mathematical measurements. But the ETFs and things that you can trade, those are actually rebalanced. Usually they're typically done once a quarter. Some of them are done like every half year. Some of them are done annually. Those are kind of rare. Usually they're done once a quarter. But the big reason why you're seeing a lot of selling in the Qs today, NVDA. So we were kind of talking about that last week. It was like, don't be shocked if we see a lot of selling come in on NVIDIA as the rebalance happens, and a lot of people that have been bullish for a while now sell into the liquidity of the rebalancing of the funds. Like a lot of those funds were then having to buy and rebalance and put more capital into NVIDIA to have the balance of their funds be proportionate to the weight of NVIDIA now. So, so that was happening Friday. So you saw some selling come in on Thursday. Obviously, gap down on Friday, not really too much happening, but you can see pretty good sell down 5% here on the day, NVIDIA. And it also doesn't help. I saw something about Kathy Wood, ARC Tech Fund, I think, or her tech fund. I'm not a big fan of her, but she also was apparently buying right here Thursday's top or Wednesday or Thursday's open or something like that. So she was literally buying up there. Just kind of, funny because, she's a legendary investor, I guess. Although she's like one of the worst performing, wealth destroying asset managers over the past decade and a half. So, yeah, not a big fan. But there you go. That might be the death knell, right? Is her buying that stuff. So that's a look at NVIDIA. Kind of one reason why the Qs are down today, because NVIDIA's had a lot of growth. So now they are a little bit more represented. They've had a lot of liquidity kind of get boosted into NVIDIA. You can see the volume upticks there on Friday. So yeah, a lot of people are probably just taking the opportunity to sell out that have been kind of looking for that rebalance. That is a trading strategy that some traders do utilize. Now, people will probably just taking their profits. So there you go. Take a look at the VIX. Nice little gap up here on the VIX. Okay, I got a little bit of a base here. Not really anything of a concern. Could always continue higher, but nice little gap up there on Monday. That's kind of typical, so it's not really a big deal. Talk about the DXY. Nice little pullback here. It was on a pretty good run here for most of the month of June. Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens here in the next couple days. Was this like a breakdown that we just had? It's kind of early to say that. I mean, this longer term kind of picture looks a little bit better, especially when you have something that looks like a up handle, possible kind of look. So yeah, if we make this run back up into like the 106, 106 and a half area, and it sets up this cup and handle type look, I'm not really wanting to be like bearish on DXY yet, just because of that possibility. All right, take a look at the GLD Gold Trust. A little bit of a gap up. Not really too much kind of going on here. Yeah, I mean, it's just, say it again, it looks like it might just be in a consolidation area. Not really too much kind of going on there. Yields, not too much kind of going on here either. Kind of just sideways day there. 10 and 2 inversion, just kind of hanging out, not really doing a whole lot. Okay, HYG is looking pretty good. Kind of have this cup and handle, talking about cup and handles, kind of have this cup and handle look to it. So yeah, if we get above, the 77.50, definitely up to like 78, I mean, it's going to look definitely a little bit more solid. I'd be more willing to put some positioning in that's going to happen, that we're going to probably continue higher. And I mean, if it doesn't, I mean, you have several different things that you want to kind of stay in play. Obviously, this uptrending kind of support line. You even have a shorter time frame one, like right through here, that you can kind of keep track of. So like there are several different spots, and that's just kind of a trend line. But even some of these like horizontal kind of price levels that you want to kind of keep track of, that I think if you see some of those break, then you can say, okay, we're probably not going to continue higher, and maybe we'll either consolidate sideways longer, or maybe we'll break down. But I'd be a little bit more willing to be bullish here. The LQD, still just kind of like forming a pennant pattern here, consolidation. Not really too much kind of going on today. How's that TLT looking? Yeah, same thing. Not really too much kind of going on. I mean, yields are up a little bit, bonds are down a little bit. Makes sense. So not really too much going on there. Still could just be consolidating. Just take a quick look at the heat map. A lot of green out there. We kind of looked at the ETFs. So a lot of green out there. Just NVDA getting liquidated today. A lot of people taking the opportunity to sell out of a lot of liquidity that's coming to NVIDIA over the past, couple trading sessions. So, yeah, there you go. AAPL's actually having a pretty good day. Other than that, Microsoft, Alphabet kind of flat. Amazon's down a little bit. Tesla's up about 1%. So, energies look like they're doing pretty good. Speaking of, let's take a look at sector rotation. So yeah, you see tech hit with that gap down, just kind of lagged behind. It hasn't really bounced nearly as much as everything else in the market. So yeah, definitely underperforming on the day. Discretionary is also underperforming. Staples, a little underperformance there, not too much. Healthcare, I mean, everything else is outperforming, right? Healthcare, communications, real estate, materials, all kind of in there, lumped together, barely outperforming. And then you got industrials, financials, and energies outperforming. There you go. As far as like intraday, yep, tech underperforming the most, makes sense. Discretionary is underperforming. Communications underperforming. Outperformers are everything else: healthcare, materials, staples, industrials, financials, utilities, energies, and real estate. So real estate's actually doing pretty good intraday. I think they weren't doing that well. Yeah, so they got hit with a pretty good gap down. Yeah, they got hit pretty good gap down, but they've climbed back throughout the day.